Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer. In your entire life, how much money has gone through your hands? Not how much you make in a year. Not what your bank account says right now. I mean the total amount of money that has ever touched your life. Your first paycheck. That summer job. That part-time job in college. That first real salary. The raise you were proud of. The bonus that felt big at the time. The tax refunds. The side hustle money. The cash someone sent you when things were tight. All of it. If you sit down and honestly add it up, the number is probably a lot bigger than you think. For some people, it's a few $100,000. For others, it's close to $1 million. For a lot of people in their 30s and 40s, it's well over $1 million. And here, where it gets uncomfortable, what do you actually have left? Not what you should have. Not what you wish you had. Not what you plan to have someday. I mean right now. What do you have to show for all those years of working, stressing, waking up early, staying up late, and pushing through life? Because this is the moment where people usually start explaining. They say things like, well, life happened. Or, I had responsibilities. Or, the economy was bad. Or, things are expensive now. And listen, some of that is true. Life is not easy. Nobody is denying that. But here's the part most people don't want to hear. A lot of people didn't lose their money because life was unfair. They lost it because they never had a system for money in the first place. Money came in and money went out. Again and again. Year after year. No plan. No structure. No rules. Just hopping things would somehow work out. And hopping is not a strategy. That's why you see people who made less money, but somehow built stability. And you see people who made good money and still feel one problem away from disaster. It's not about intelligence. It's not about talent. It's not even about income. It's about whether or not you understand how the money game actually works. Because money is a game. Whether people like that word or not. Rule number 1 is this: money is a game. People get uncomfortable when you say that because they want money to be emotional. They want it to be moral. They want it to be personal. But money doesn't care about your feelings. A game has rules. A game has winners. A game has losers. If you sit down at a table and start playing a game without knowing the rules, you are going to lose. Not once. Not sometimes. Consistently. That doesn't mean you're stupid. It means you're untrained. And the worst part is that most people don't even realize they're playing. They think money is just something that happens to them. They think, if I just work harder, things will work out. They think, if I just make a little more, I'll be fine. They think, once I get past this rough patch, everything will stabilize. But the rough patch keeps coming back. Because nothing changes until the rules change. Money rewards people who understand it. And it punishes people who don't, quietly, slowly, over time. That's why two people can make the same amount of money and end up in completely different places. One feels calm. The other feels stressed. One has options. The other has excuses. And most people don't even realize they're losing until they're tired, older, and wondering where all the years went. Rule number 2 is simple, but most people break it without realizing it. Stop padding money. A lot of people have a strange relationship with money. They want it, but they resent it. They say things like, money changes people. Or rich people are greedy. Or money doesn't last anyway. And they say these things casually, like jokes, without realizing what they're doing. Every time you talk badly about money, you're teaching yourself to treat it badly. You don't take care of things you secretly dislike. You don't protect things you don't respect. Money is not good or bad. Money is neutral. It's a tool. A hammer can build a house or break a window. The hammer isn't the problem. Money works the same way. People who see money as dirty, dangerous, or shameful never learn how to manage it properly. They spend it quickly. They avoid thinking about it. They don't track it. They don't plan with it. Then they say money is the problem. But money didn't disappear on its own. Rule number 3 is where things start to click for people. Wealth is a doubling game. This is one of the simplest ideas in money, and somehow it's one of the least understood. People think wealth is about making a huge jump. They think it's about one big break, one lucky moment, one massive opportunity. But that's not how it usually works. Wealth grows in stages. If you have a small amount of money and you double it, you've made progress. If you double it again, you've made more progress. And if you keep doing that without losing what you built, the numbers start to change faster than you expect. The real question isn't, how do I get rich? The real question is, how do I grow what I have without destroying it? Because plenty of people make money and then lose it. They get a good year, feel confident, loosen up, spend more, and suddenly they're back where they started. That's not growth. That's a loop. The people who win understand that every stage matters. They protect their base. They don't rush. They don't gamble their foundation just to feel ahead for a moment. Which brings us to rule number 4. Desperation is one of the fastest ways to lose money. When people feel desperate, they stop thinking clearly. They start chasing outcomes instead of making decisions. They want money now. They want relief now. They want a shortcut now. That's when bad decisions happen. That's when people trust the wrong people. That's when they jump into things they don't understand. That's when they convince themselves that risk doesn't matter because they don't have a choice. But desperation doesn't remove risk. It magnifies it. Calm people make better decisions. People with patience last longer. People who can wait don't get trapped as easily. A lot of financial mistakes aren't made because someone didn't know better. They're made because someone felt pressure and wanted the pressure gone. Rule number 5 ties everything together early on. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a structure problem. Money comes into their life with no plan. It just flows in and flows out. Bills get paid. Spending happens. And whatever is left over is treated like a bonus. But there's rarely anything left over. So people tell themselves they'll get serious later. They'll save when things calm down. They'll plan when they make more. Later turns into years. A system doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to exist. Without structure, money follows emotion. And emotion is expensive. People don't lose money all at once. They lose it slowly, quietly, through habits that feel harmless at the time. And that's how someone can work for 10, 15, 20 years and still feel like they're standing in the same place. Not because they didn't try, but because they never changed how the game was being played. Now let's go deeper, because this is where people start to feel exposed, and that's usually the moment they either lean in or they mentally check out. But if you're still here, it means you're not afraid to look at your own life honestly, and that alone puts you ahead of most people. Because most people don't want the truth. They want comfort. They want somebody to tell them, it's not your fault. They want somebody to say, you're doing fine. They want somebody to blame the economy, blame their childhood, blame their job, blame their spouse, blame the government, blame inflation, blame everything. And yes, those things matter. Life is real, costs are real, pressure is real. But it's also real that some people are thriving in the same world. So there has to be something else going on. The reason I started this whole conversation with that question, how much money has passed through your hands, is because it forces you to face something most people avoid. You don't have a small money problem. You have a lifetime pattern problem. If you're 30 and you've had hundreds of thousands pass through your hands, and you're still broke, you're not dealing with a one-time issue. You're dealing with a pattern. And a pattern doesn't change by wishing. A pattern changes when you finally admit what it is. Some people spend years telling themselves they're almost there. They're always almost there. One more raise and they'll be okay. One more promotion and they'll get stable. One more good month and they'll start saving. One more side hustle and they'll start investing. But it's never the raise. It's never the promotion. It's never the side hustle. Because the same habits come along for the ride. So even when the money goes up, the results don't change. That's why you see people who make $40,000 a year and somehow have savings. And you see people who make $120,000 a year and still can't breathe. That's not because one person is lucky. That's because one person has control, and the other person has chaos. Rule number 6 is where real life starts. Rule number 6 is this: most people don't lose money in big dramatic ways. They lose it in small, normal, everyday ways that don't feel dangerous. It's the little stuff. It's the daily spending that seems harmless because it's only $10, only $20, only $30. It's the subscriptions they forgot they even have. It's the eating out because they don't feel like cooking. It's the boredom spending. It's the comfort spending. It's the I had a long day spending. It's the I deserve it spending. People think money disappears because life is expensive. But money usually disappears because spending becomes automatic. And the scary part is that when something becomes automatic, you stop noticing it. It becomes part of your identity. You don't feel like you're making a decision. You feel like you're just living. But you're not just living. You're paying for a lifestyle with no plan. Rule number 7 is the honest one nobody wants to hear. Rule number 7 is that a lot of people are not broke because they don't make enough. They're broke because they spend like someone who makes more. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm saying it because it's common. People spend to match the version of themselves they want to be. They spend to feel like they're doing well. They spend to feel like they're not falling behind. They spend because they're surrounded by people spending. They spend because social media has convinced them that everyone is living better than they are. So even when they're struggling, they're still trying to keep up. And trying to keep up is one of the fastest ways to stay broke. Because keeping up has no finish line. There will always be someone with a better car, a nicer apartment, a newer phone, a better vacation, a bigger house. And the people who are truly winning aren't winning because they kept up. They're winning because they stopped trying to keep up and started building quietly. Rule number 8 is about the part of money most people don't understand until it's too late. Rule number 8 is that money doesn't just disappear, it gets transferred. If you don't control your money, someone else will. That's what subscriptions are. That's what fees are. That's what interest is. That's what impulse buying is. Money doesn't vanish into the air. It moves. And if you don't decide where it goes, it will go to the loudest thing around you. The easiest thing. The most tempting thing. The most emotional thing. People don't build wealth because wealth requires intention. And intention requires discipline. Rule number 9 is where the conversation gets serious. Rule number 9 is that you are not supposed to feel like one emergency will destroy you. That feeling is not normal. It's common, but it's not normal. A lot of people are living with this quiet fear in the back of their mind. They don't say it out loud, but it's there. They're fine until the car breaks. They're fine until they get sick. They're fine until the job does layoffs. They're fine until rent goes up. They're fine until someone in the family needs help. Then suddenly, everything becomes panic. And panic is expensive. Not just financially, mentally. It drains you. It makes you feel trapped. It makes you feel like you can't plan because you're always dealing with the next problem. That cycle is what keeps people stuck for years. Because you can't build a future when you're always putting out fires. Rule number 10 is the one that usually makes people uncomfortable because it hits pride. Rule number 10 is that a lot of people don't buy things because they need them. They buy things because they want to feel something. They want to feel important. They want to feel successful. They want to feel like they're not behind. So they buy. And for a moment, it works. For a moment, the purchase feels good. It's like a little high. But then the payment is due. Then the credit card statement shows up. Then the stress comes back. So they buy again. And now it's a loop. And the loop has a simple name. It's called paying for comfort instead of paying for freedom. People don't get trapped by poverty alone. They get trapped by choices that feel good today and cost them tomorrow. Rule number 11 is where you start realizing why money feels rigged for some people and easier for others. Rule number 11 is about the part most people ignore because it feels boring. Most people don't understand how the system works. They don't understand taxes. They don't understand interest. They don't understand how credit really works. They don't understand how money grows. And when you don't understand those things, you get punished without even realizing it. It's like walking into a game and not knowing what the rules are, then wondering why you keep losing points. A lot of people are losing money every month simply because they never learned the basic mechanics. And they're not dumb. No one taught them. But nobody teaching you doesn't change the result. Rule number 12 is where money becomes a mindset test. Rule number 12 is that people panic at the worst times. When the economy gets shaky, a lot of people get scared. They start making decisions based on fear. They pull back. They stop thinking long-term. They stop building. They stop investing in themselves. They start shrinking. And the truth is, that's usually the exact moment where the people with patience and preparation pull ahead. Not because they're heartless, but because they're stable. Stability changes how you see the world. When you're stable, fear doesn't control you. When you're stable, you can choose your moves. When you're stable, you can take advantage of opportunities instead of being crushed by problems. Rule number 13 is about something people love to do because it feels productive, but it can be a trap. Rule number 13 is that people study money like entertainment instead of applying money like discipline. They watch finance videos. They follow people online. They know the words invest, compound, assets, cash flow. But their life doesn't change. Because information without behavior is just noise. Some people can tell you about the stock market, but they can't tell you why their bank account keeps hitting zero. They can quote rich advice, but they live broke habits. And it's not because they're lazy. It's because it's easier to learn something than it is to change. Learning feels good. Changing is uncomfortable. Rule number 14 is the one that turns adults into teenagers. Rule number 14 is comparison. Comparison makes people do stupid things with money. Comparison makes you rush. Comparison makes you feel behind even when you're not. Comparison makes you chase a lifestyle that isn't even yours. And the worst part is that comparison is usually based on a lie. Because you don't know what's behind that person's life. You don't know the debt. You don't know the stress. You don't know the family money. You don't know the help they got. You don't know the reality. You just see the highlight. And then you spend money trying to match a highlight. That is one of the most common ways people stay broke in the US. They don't spend money to improve their life. They spend money to protect their ego. Rule number 15 is about goals. Most people don't have a real goal. They have a feeling. They want to be better. They want to have more. They want to be comfortable. But vague goals create vague decisions. A real goal creates focus, and focus changes your choices. If you have no goal, you'll spend money on anything that feels good. If you have a goal, you start asking different questions. You start asking, is this helping me? You start thinking in months instead of moments. And thinking in months is how you stop living paycheck to paycheck. Rule number 16 is where people get confused because they hear two different pieces of advice and don't know which is right. Some people say, play it safe. Some people say, take risks. The truth is, both can be true depending on where you are in life. If you have nothing saved and no stability, one mistake can destroy you. So being reckless is not brave, it's foolish. But if you never take any risks at all, you also stay stuck. So the real answer isn't always be safe or always take risks. The real answer is to understand what you can afford to lose and what you cannot afford to lose. People who win are not the ones who take the biggest risks. They're the ones who take smart risks while protecting their base. Rule number 17 is where you start understanding why some people seem to move faster. It's leverage. Leverage is how one person gets results that look bigger than their effort. That doesn't mean cheating. It means multiplying your output. Some people do everything manually forever, so their results stay limited. Other people build systems, relationships, skills, and income streams that multiply. They don't just work harder. They work smarter. And once you understand leverage, you stop thinking money is only about working a job. Rule number 18 is about positioning. This is the part that changes everything for a lot of people, especially in the US. Because the truth is that in America, positioning matters more than most people realize. What you do matters. Where you do it matters. Who you do it with matters. What market you're in matters. Two people can work equally hard and get completely different outcomes. One is in a low-paying market with no growth. The other is in a high-paying market with demand. And the difference is not talent. It's position. People don't get ahead only because they worked harder. They get ahead because they put themselves where hard work pays more. Rule number 19 is about the power of people. A lot of people say, I'm self-made. And sure, you have to do your part. But the truth is that a big part of money is relationships. Not fake networking. Not using people. Real relationships. Being around disciplined people changes you. Being around lazy people changes you. Being around people who build changes you. Being around people who complain changes you. Money is affected by your environment more than most people want to admit. Rule number 20 is the one that destroys people who finally get their big moment. Big check syndrome. Someone gets a bonus. Someone closes a big deal. Someone has one really good month in business. And they immediately act like it's their new life. They upgrade everything. They start spending like it's guaranteed. Then life happens, income drops, and now they're stuck with bills they can't support. So they go right back to stress. The problem is not getting the money. The problem is not having the maturity to handle the money. And that's what all these rules are really about. Maturity. Because money doesn't just reward effort. Money rewards control. And control is what most people never learn.